How's everybody doing today? Somebody give me some energy.
What's up, Rob?
What's up? What's up, Tim? I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. So, today we're going to talk about how to find your next deal. Let me get a pulse right now from the market. Who's working on an active deal right now? Who's got a deal? How did you find it? Somebody give me a little bit about um, any deals that you guys are working on. And by the way, if you're on here because you want to find that first deal, that next deal, well, you've come to the right place. Let's see. Angela Bailey. I own a property management company and one of my clients is selling me his property. Awesome. Angela, that's such a great way. Finding deals through property management companies is a great way to do it. Who else? Who else has got one right now? Okay, before I get into it, I'm gonna talk a little bit about the psychology of finding a deal. And I teach this to my team often. People are always searching for deals in all the wrong places, meaning they're searching like on Facebook Marketplace, they're searching in the MLS, they're searching on Zillow. There's like a lot of different places that they're actively looking for deals. And the problem is that they're searching in too many areas. That's a problem because it means that you're not focused. Okay. And when you're not focused, you're never going to find something. So the key is you've got to get focused on one channel, one way of finding deals, right? So this whole presentation is about find your first or next investment deal without chasing Zillow. And that topic title is mainly just because it's about you not just trying to find stuff that's actively on the market. It's about finding stuff that's not on the market. One of the key areas is, again, people cast their net way too wide instead of being narrow in their focus. So, Ria, give me the next slide real fast. And if you could make your screen a little bit larger, right, if possible. Okay. Um, well, so most investors aren't short on finding listings online, right? Get listings from you might get listings from wholesalers. You might find listings from uh, through a company called like Privy, or you might be looking on Zillow, or you might be looking on Realtor.com. But the problem with that is that because you don't understand one area super well, because you don't understand your backyard super well, you're going to move too slowly, right? So most investors are not short on listings. They're short on getting clear about what an actual deal looks like. They're short on the relationships in that particular market. They're not consistent with a single message in that market, and they don't have a deal finding system. They need a deal finding system. They're just kind of looking online and scrolling, right? So we need to create a deal finding system for you. And that deal finding system is about going small to go big. Okay, give me the next slide. Yeah. Okay, your next deal won't come through refreshing Zillow, right? It's going to come through a conversation, a relationship, some local agent potentially that you're going to partner with. It's going to come from a tired landlord, a contractor, a wholesaler, a property manager, right? Deal flow is created. It's not found. You're going to create it. One of the best sources is finding deals like through property managers. Angela, let me ask you a question. Hop on very quickly. I want you to speak up. I want to see
Yes,
you on here.
sir.
Okay. Angela, you probably know like ahead of time when your clients are thinking about selling, right? I would imagine,
Yes.
right? Because normally they might be experiencing some kind of pain. They might be like, oh, the hot water died, or the HWA's now hit me for the fence again, and you know that they live out of state and everything is an expense potentially to them. And so there's a certain level of motivation that you might sense as a property manager. Yes.
Yes,
Right. Right.
absolutely.
In my opinion, property managers are like one of the best places, one of the best people to be networking with because of that. Because you sense the pain some months in advance. You just know, hey, at some point this person is going to more than likely sell. So how did this deal come about? I'm just curious. This particular deal come about.
Well, I have a long-standing relationship with this vendor. Well, he was a vendor of mine previously before I opened my own company, and we've been friends and we've done a lot of business together. And then when I opened my own company, he brought his properties to me to manage. He'd been self-managing, which is always a nightmare. And so I took over managing his portfolio. Um, he is looking to be done. He's had a lot of because he had been self-managing, he had been putting his own tenants in the properties and not vetting them appropriately, and people weren't paying rent and they were trashing the properties. And we've been cleaning them up one by one and getting the tenants out and enforcing better rules and regulations. And he's just done. He wants out. So we are systematically going through his portfolio and picking out what we want to purchase, and we will be marketing the rest of them either in the MLS or to investors that we work with.
Angela, what area do you cover primarily? What's your market?
Primarily Williamsburg, Virginia. So we go up to Richmond, not into Richmond, and down to Hampton, but not across the tunnel.
Okay, so you have a what I call a zone, an area that you focus on, probably because of proximity, you understand the product, you know where you should be, where investors might want to own some of the product and potentially
Mhm.
other areas that might be more headaches, right?
Right.
Right.
Correct.
Okay. So we call that zoning a market. And the tighter the zone, the more opportunity there typically is for somebody to find deals. It's very hard for you to be an expert in the area that you just talked about and Richmond and
Right.
Hampton Roads. Like you've got to pick a target area because the more you know that area, the quicker you can move. And this game is all about speed. So anybody listening in here, the number one key is to pick your area and then build a relationship with somebody like a property manager in that area or an investor that does a lot of investment deals in that market or a wholesaler that does a lot of assignments in that market or a contractor that deals with a lot of construction in that market. And so the smaller that you can make your world, the more deals actually come out, right, of that market. But you have to
Agree.
let everybody know what it is that you're looking for in that particular market. You've got to let everybody know, right? That's number one. So again, deal flow is created, it is not found. Your job is to get in the mind of everybody in that market, knowing who you are and the type of product that you potentially want to purchase. Okay, Ria, give me the next slide. Angela, thank you for that. I appreciate it. Yeah. Okay. So most investors start here, right? They'll say, well, what's the cheapest property that I could find on Zillow or on Redfin, right? Or they'll say, what market is hot? Or they'll say, what strategy should I try next? And they're trying to figure out what a novation is and assignments and fixing and flipping. Or they'll say, who's got a deal? And there's no real systematic approach to it, right? So what happens is they're really busy, they're really scattered, and they're just putting themselves into a red ocean with everybody else. That's the problem. Okay. So let's come up with some solutions around that problem. So if you're just scrolling for listings, like we said online, you're just reacting, right? By the time something's online, it's way too late. It's absolutely too late once it's online, right? Investors who win are going to find off market properties, right? Off market properties. Hey, by the way, Angela, you got people that are reaching out to you in the chat. So this is good, right? This is why I like to bring people in. They're like, hey, where are you doing deals, right? Okay. Let's give me the next slide, Real. Um, the first thing before you are going to start trying to find like the deal, like defining a deal, you have to ask yourself, what is it I'm actually trying to build? And then what kind of property fits my life and my goals? Many times investors are just, putting themselves out there because they're not quite sure what they're building, right? We want to have you get extremely clear about what you're building. You also have to realize like you have a limited supply of capital. So you need to build relationships with people that have capital in that area. So I'm going to give you guys a very defined way to think about this. In this market that Angela was talking about, just think of that as like her zone. She not only has to know like who all the contractors are, who all the trades are, who all the agents are, who the capital is. Um, she then wants to find, she needs to define the kind of product that she wants to own. I would imagine, Angela, I'm going to use you as an example too, because I think property managers are great for this. I would imagine that you probably understand the sweet spot of the type of property that you can rent all day long as a property manager. Is that right? What is that? Give it to us in your market.
Well, I mean, we have a couple of different things, but so we are located primarily in Williamsburg, Virginia. So we have a large William and Mary off-campus housing portfolio, and I can rent student properties all day long, but you've got to have the stomach for it.
Okay.
So not everybody's built to be the owner of a student rental. So, but then
Is
we also do single families that are in the area in certain areas that are. Um, I mean, it's hard to go wrong in Williamsburg, quite frankly. There are some pockets of areas where you don't want to be. It just depends on what the investor's tolerance for risk.
so this is a great example, right? When you start thinking about what do you want to own, because that's what this slide is about. You might say, "Hey, I'm comfortable with student rental properties. I like the idea of providing student rental properties." Um, I remember 17 years ago, I owned two student rental properties. One was a house full of girls, and one was a house full of guys. And the girls were way messier than the guys. It was kind of crazy. But the guys had beer funnels coming down the stairs. They had beer pong tables everywhere. But we got paid quarterly, all in advance. At least that's the way it was done in that market. And we made really, really good money owning student rentals, but they rode those properties really, really hard, right? So there was always a lot of deferred maintenance that would happen in those properties, or because we're like, man, the kids don't care, right? Like they're fine with the sink not working for months. But you might say like, that's not the kind of product I want to own, right? You might decide that you want to own, like I have a friend of ours, Andy Bowie, in our market who likes co-living, and he buys single family houses priced between six and $800,000 with 4 plus 5 bedrooms that he knows he can rent at $1,500 a clip to professionals, young professionals working for corporate America. That became his zone strategy, primarily in like Arlington Falls Church. So now he's got a very clear type of product that he wants to purchase. And then he lets everybody in his zone market know exactly what he wants to buy. And that's what I'm going to encourage everybody on here to do is to get very clear about the type of property that you want to buy and the reason why. The reason why. Okay. Hopefully everybody on here, if you're part of Grid at all, you understand that the way to wealth is not buying and selling and flipping houses. The way to wealth is by buying and owning businesses and assets. The fixing and flipping, the assignments and the agenting of the business is purely there to help you generate enough income to buy assets long term. That's the purpose. That's why we do it, right? So you have to get very clear on what kind of product can I buy in my backyard, because every market's going to be different, that I want to own. I'll give you another idea of one of those markets. I have a friend of mine in California. California real estate is very expensive. But what he does is he provides sober living homes, and he has a passion for that. He has a passion to help like people that are recovering, put them into good housing, and he gets paid by the state. He gets paid by, the state because there's programs for that. And so he rents it by the bed. And it's like $1,000 a bed. And there's 2 beds to a room. And you start doing the math, a product that he would make $3,500 a month as a long-term rental, he makes $9,000 a month in gross rents. That's crazy, right? When you think about it. But that is a business at that point, heavy management. And you might be in a season of life that you're like, yeah, I don't want to deal with that. Like, I don't want that. Just like people that do Airbnbs, unless you have third party management, you own a hotel. Do you want to be in the hotel business? So these are the questions you need to ask yourself as you're trying to define what you want to buy in your particular market. And here's an important thing. Your market might restrict you to what you can buy. Like when you start thinking about, there's not in Northern Virginia, there isn't really any multifamily to purchase. That's in like a normal person's range to purchase because it's super expensive. So you have to focus on like co-living is a way to do it, or house hacking is another way to do it. And because interest rates are so high right now, it's really hard to make a yield on just a long-term rental. The numbers just don't work unless you go further out, right? Which is why you see a lot of investors going to Richmond into other markets because they're like, okay, the numbers make more sense in those markets. Okay, next slide, please. So this gets to once hopefully everybody on here, from me just speaking, you started getting a vision of maybe the type of thing that you want to own in your market. And if you haven't, I need you to. I don't want you to be scattered and distracted with chasing a bunch of shiny objects when you've got to get very clear about what you want to own and why. So we call it creating a thesis. Creating a thesis. So owning student rentals and a bunch of them around William and Mary would be a thesis. Hey, I want to own a portfolio of properties around that, and I am willing to pay the price of, that type of business. Cool. But now what you could do is you can eliminate everything else from your periphery and you could focus on finding the very best deals that fit that market. That's how this works. Okay. Anybody here, well, I know everybody here has probably at some point thought about buying a particular car. And then the next thing you know, you start seeing that car everywhere, right? That's called the reticular activation system in your brain. And it's like that for deals. Once you understand what your buy box is and what it is that you want, the reticular activation in your brain starts seeing them in your market. But until you define what you want, you never see it. It's almost like the brain just passes it up. So get very clear about your buy box. What's the property type? What's the location? What's the price range? What's the condition? What kind of strategy? Are you going to do a sub two, right? For those that don't know what that is, we've got some other videos, but are you going to try to buy these properties subject to the existing mortgages that are there, right? What are the numbers? What's your timeline? How are you going to raise the capital for it? You have to be willing to say no to everything else. Okay. Next slide. Because if people don't know what you want, they can't send it to you. This is really important, right? If they don't know what you want, they cannot send it to you. So an example, buy and hold investor. I'm looking for single family or small multifamily within 30 minutes of my target market, light to moderate updates, strong rental demand, seller wants speed, simplicity, and certainty. So I'm gonna be able to get a better deal because somebody wants speed and convenience. And the purchase price leaves room for some repairs, some reserves, some profit. I might be even more specific. I might say, I only want brick exterior, 3 bedroom, 2 baths within 15 minutes from my house, under $500,000. with a backyard. The more specific you are when you guys go to your local real estate investment meeting or you're online, you can tell people exactly what you want. Interestingly enough, um, we own my wife and I own a couple little river houses. And the first one I ever bought was I went online and I just said, I'm looking for a river house 50 minutes away from where I live. I live in Reston. If anybody knows of a deal that's coming up, and I gave like an image of what I wanted. And crazy enough, people started sending me listings, and I ended up buying this gorgeous little river house on 3 acres on the Shenandoah River because I called out exactly what I wanted. And that's today's exercise, right? So, Angela, when I say that to you, what do you want? Do you have an idea of the type of product you want?
I was thinking about this as you were talking about it because our buy box is a little bit wider, bigger than what you're talking about. If it's properties that I've been managing that I know are cash flowing and I'm comfortable with the condition of the property and it's in the area, we have specific areas that we want to be in. We want to be in, York County, uh, preferably Upper York County, City of Williamsburg or James City County, right in the Tri-County area where we are. Um, then I'm comfortable with a lot of things. It just needs to cash flow and be in a condition that and in an area where I want to be, preferably one that I've been managing. It's not often that I'm buying property that I'm not already involved with. That's just sort of my sweet spot. But when we go out into the community, we also have relationships with the local jurisdictions, and they will contact us when there's a problem property that's getting ready to go to a foreclosure or tax sale. And we will then get involved potentially and buy the property or bring investors in to purchase. So
Because
um,
people know what you do
people know what I do. Yes,
and you've
that's
been
exactly
telling
right.
them and they see you and you're active in the community, right?
Correct.
Give us a sense of like what numbers look like in your market a little bit. Meaning like what
It
is what is
depends.
yeah,
So, I
something
mean,
that
if
you
you're
might buy might be what sell for X, rents for Y.
so the one that I'm looking at right now, it's a little tiny condo, and I'm buying it. It's a two-bedroom, 1.5 bath condo. I need to put about $10,000 into it. I'm going to buy it for $175,000. It's worth 250. I'll rent it for, I might be able to get it rented for 1750 for sure. I can rent it for 16.
That's a
So,
great little deal. That's great. That's
so
great.
if I were buying the city of Williamsburg down near the college, that's a much different beast. The last property that I purchased in the city was, I think we purchased it for about $500,000. Didn't have to do anything into it. It was already rented. It had 4-person exception. So we were able to put 4 butts and beds in that property. And I would have to look, but I think we're renting it for $5,400 a month now, maybe more than that. And it's worth about 750 now, and it's been about 5 years.
That's fantastic, right? So you've got cash flow that's happening better than the 1% rule, right? And
Right,
you've got appreciation in a growing market and you know that market super well. That's what I'm talking about, right? Like
right.
there's clarity over what you want. And and when you manage properties, it's almost like you have a distinct advantage of like, a lot of people are just scared about the unknowns, right? When it comes to managing properties, that's what keeps you as a property manager in business, right? But I'm going to encourage you all to know everything is solvable, right? Don't be too afraid or partner with somebody like Angela to help you. Okay, next slide. Okay, so where do deals actually come from? Here are all the places where deals come from. I have found that, believe it or not, even though I'm a licensed agent and people know me for buying like a lot of properties in our market, my number one way of finding deals is through other agents. Other agents bring me lots of deals. And it's because every day, thousands of agents enter homes, in our market. And many of those homes that they enter need a lot of work. And they know that I'm the a lot of work guy. They're like, this is a job for Rob because I don't even know what I'm looking at here. And I tell them, bring me those deals I'll partner with you on those deals. I'll act, you can be my buyer's agent on those deals. So agents are a great source. Wholesalers, another great source. The problem is a lot of times, and there might be some of you on here that say, well, everything that I see that comes across my desk, like on the internet from a wholesaler, is overpriced. And that is true because normally they're taking those properties, the ones that never hit the market, guys, they're taking it to their number one, number two, or number three investor, and it's sold the day they actually put it under contract for the most part because they have these relationships and they know, boom, this person's just going to take it out. So I would go build relationships with the top 5 to 10 wholesalers in your market and tell them exactly what it is that you want, right? Other landlords are a great source. As Angela knows, like there's lots of tired landlords that are out there. They're just tired. Maybe they fully depreciated the asset. Maybe they've inherited the asset and now it's just been a headache for them. And they've got a lot of equity and they just don't want to deal with it. And they'd rather not fix it up. Well, there's an opportunity for you, right? Um, Investment groups are another great place. Your personal network, lenders, attorneys, CPAs, local business owners, other investors. These are all great sources. Now, what I'm going to like when I tell you this, right? The only way to do this on purpose, guys, is to put each one of those categories, each one of those people into a database. And every month, how do you find top wholesalers? I'll tell you in a second. Uh, every month, I want you guys to send them an email that essentially says, I'm looking for this kind of property in this particular area. If you know of anything, let me know. And when you buy one, then then the next email is going to be, we just bought another property. We're renovating it. Thank you so much to our partners for bringing us this deal. So you're going to tell the story of what you're doing, which will perpetuate more deals. So there was a question, how do I find the top wholesalers? Believe it or not, a lot of the ChatGPT today, Claude, you can go in there and say, who are the top wholesalers in my market? Who are the top real estate agents in my market? Who are the top CPAs in my market? Who are the top 5? Give me the top 6. So this will just generate a list to start with. It doesn't mean that they are definitely the top 5, but they've created enough content that these language learning models have said, hey, Rob Chavez is known as an investor agent in the Northern Virginia market. He's an investor agent that you should talk to. Like that would be a really good, easy way to do it. When I went down to Florida last year and I wanted to open up, and start expanding in that market, that's the first thing I did was give me a list of the top like 10 attorneys. Give me the list of the top 10 wholesalers. Give me a list of the top agents that work with investors. And then I just pick up the phone and start, talking and networking with people. Okay. That's the way to do it. Next slide. Okay. We want to give a big shout out to Avail. Now, Avail, is Mark Beckett on here by any chance? I don't know. My brother from another mother is on here, probably dealing with Mark's helping me renovate a big project right now. So he's probably stuck there. If, Angel, this competes kind of with you, right? Are you familiar with Avail at all?
I am. Yeah.
Okay. Um, so what we find is that there are definitely your do-it-yourselfers out there that want self-management, and Avail is a great option for self-management, right? And then there's the others that are like, I don't want to do that myself, and they really want a guide like an Angela to help. And cool. My best friend is more of a do-it-yourselfer. He's all about an Avail personality. My friend Sloan is another one. I don't know if Sloan's on here right now or not, right? Sloan, he owns like 8 or 9 units. Like he just can't bring himself to hire a property manager for whatever reason. He just wants to do it all himself. Fantastic. There is that target person needs to use a product like Avail because they make it super simple. For the rest of us, right? you're going to use a property manager because some people just they want complete like anonymity. Very cool, right? What's so good about this business is that every personality has a different way to do it, right? Real estate investing is such a big word. It's not one size fits all. It's like, hey, there's different strokes for different folks, right? So I'm going to encourage you to take a look at Avail if you're definitely more of somebody that wants to manage and self-manage your own rentals. They do everything in one place, like tenant screening, rent collection, maintenance request, all the rest, right? And Angela, I don't know if you know this, but we own a property management company as well, like in Northern Virginia. And my wife at one point managed 300 assets for other investors until we sold that business, and then now we're rebuilding that business again, right? Um, but she's not doing it this time because she's like too much work for her, right? Too much work for her. Um, okay, so a couple more things on finding deals. You can change the slide, Ria, or go back one section. Yep, yep. Um, I want to come back to this slide because the areas that I find the most deals from are going to be agents, and believe it or not, um, attorneys and contractors. And I'm curious if anybody else has a source of deals from a network that they get the majority of their deals from. Anybody else? Another source? Okay. I'm going to give you I'm going to give you a very easy play on the landlord play. Okay. Because I think absentee owner landlord play. Uh, Angela, in your market, do you know how many rentals there are?
I don't, but I know that today I was showing my intern how to look up the absentee owners, and there were a lot.
Okay.
It's fun. I
So,
don't know how many rentals.
okay, this is great. So this is what we just got done, and this is I'm going to leave everybody with this because this is super valuable. In your zip code, you're going to pull a list. If you have access to the MLS, it's very simple, right? You're going to pull a list of every absentee owner. You could also buy these lists, but if you have access to the MLS, you can pull a list in the MLS where it says there's an option. It's like owner occupied, absentee owner, and you're just going to click on the absentee owner. Okay. And you're going to get thousands. There's like thousands. And it's too big, to be honest with you. So then you've got to make it a little bit smaller. You might say, well, I don't want condos. I only want single family homes and townhouses, as an example. And I don't want anything that's traded in the last 6 years. So I want everything from, 2020 and earlier. This is a list that I just pulled the other day for my team in our market in Reston. When I pulled that list, it was 1,040 homes. That's a very manageable list. Everybody here can build a list of 1,040 homes. When you build that list, what's the next step? I want some participation. What do you do with that list? Tim, don't be shy. I heard you on here before. What are you going to do with that list, Tim, when you pull
Well,
that
actually,
list?
Rob, I had a quick question
Sure.
on the MLS pool. How do you pull from like 6 years ago? Because I know that there's like, closed things and there's like 0 to 180 days pops up generally. But I mean, do you put in 6,000 days, 3,000 days, or is there some easier way to do it?
There's an easier way to do it. You could say nothing that's traded from 2000, like you could say, I think it's like the year 2020 and below. There's like you could put in the date with like um Bachtal. Thank you for joining. Um, you don't have to put in all of those dates. You could actually put in like a specific date and with like a negative sign, and it'll give you everything before that.
All right, thanks. Appreciate it. I
Yep.
don't want to take everyone's time.
So the call is the easiest thing to do. Like you would make that call to absentee owners. And what do you think the call should sound like? I'm going to give you very specific ways to do this. How's the call sound? Would you like to hear a script? Okay, here are the two scripts. Script number one is, hey, Tim, I'm not sure if I have the, well, I'll say, let me back up. I'll say, I don't know if I have the right numbers. Is this Tim who owns 123 Main Street? Tim would say, yeah, what's this about? Be like, oh, Tim, my name's Rob. I'm an agent. And if you're an investor, you could say I'm an investor, but I'm an agent that focuses on your market. And I'm just curious to see if you're looking to purchase any more properties like the one you have at 123 Main Street. Okay, that would be a very safe call because you're bringing them something, right? And Tim's then going to say, no, I'm not interested in buying anything else. It's one answer. Or he might say, yes, yes, I am interested in buying something else, but not in this market. I might be looking in another market. Or he might say, no, I'm actually thinking of downsizing. So as an agent, he has the ability to bring another deal or sell a deal, right? Another way to make that call is just to do what I would always do. Super simple. It's just like, hey, Tim, I see you own this property at 123 Main Street. I'm just curious. Do you plan on selling that property anytime soon? Right? That's it. Super simple, right? They're going to give you a yes, no, maybe, sideways. How'd you get my number? Right? And all you have to do is just engage somebody in conversation. When you make that call, when you've called all 1,040, yes, Ron G to everyone, check the do not call list as well. Yes, you can check the do not call list. Believe it or not, I'm not too concerned. You guys do whatever you want to do. I'm not too concerned with a do not call list. Normally, I'm inquiring, just saying, hey, are you interested in? I'm not selling them anything. I'm like buying something, right? Hey, are you interested in thinking of selling that property? Because I might be interested in buying it, or have an investor that's interested in buying it, right? But check the do not call list. Once I've made all those calls, then I feel like I've earned the right to actually mail. Now, does anybody know how much it would cost to mail that 1,040 homes? Anybody want to guess? You can put the comments. You can put it in the comments. Take a guess. $500? Good guess. Good guess. Gregory Owens, dollar per. Good guess. So Greg is right. If it's going to be a letter, you could do it a little bit less. You could do it for probably about $1,000, $950. You could do it less if it's a postcard. I definitely prefer letters over postcards. I found that letters convert way better than postcards. So even though the postcard is less, the conversion is way higher. So my return on that investment is way higher. You can use a company like REI Print Mail for those letters. I just got a quote for $950 for the 1,040 for a letter. I think that's a great price. If you could do something for less than $1 per letter, fantastic. Now, the next question is, how often should you mail that list? Anybody have ideas? Put it in the comments. Anybody want to guess? Every 2 months, every month, every month. Yeah, I would recommend that you're going to mail at least minimum one time a month. What you want to do is you want to cement their monthly for at least 6 months, right? What's the best way to find their contact info? Okay, I'll give you that information here in a bit. I missed this. So I'll answer that question a couple different ways. So number one, you want to become the Coca-Cola in their mind. What I mean by that is like the brand of choice in their mind for somebody that potentially can help them solve their real estate problem, whatever that problem is, right? With landlords or absentee owners, you could just be like, hey, if you're thinking about selling in as is condition, I'm interested in buying it. I could buy it, at any, I could buy it no contingencies, no commissions. So you can make it so that it's very easy for them. Speed and convenience. That's what that a particular avatar is going to look for. And you're just going to hit that message over and over and over and over again. So it has to be a budget. Like my brother from another mother, Mark Beckett, said, it's got to be a budget that you can um, live paying for an extended period of time. And in my opinion, it's going to be long, like 6 months, the absolute minimum. Like I'm going to say a year plus, right? Yes, Ron said REI is fantastic. Yeah, they make it easy. And so um, the way you can pull that list, by the way, company like REI Print Mail will give you that list. We pull the list off the MLS and then we scrub it through batch leads. And we skip trace the numbers through batch leads. Batch leads is another service. Now, is it 100% accurate? No, but at least it gives me names and some email addresses, and I can start that process, right? So, batch leads is a service. REI print mail is another service. The goal is this, though, consistency. So, absentee owners sending that letter is the best way to do it. And if people want, by the way, if I bought 2 houses recently on one letter. If anybody wants that letter, Ria, maybe you guys can put your comment, say, yes, I want the letter. I'll send you the letter that I've used to buy my last 2 houses. And it's really interesting. It's a really simple, effective letter. Ria, you'll take all the notes of who's saying yes, right? And it actually comes, I'll give you 2 versions. I'll send the version that I sent is an agent version because I'm an agent. But there's 3 options that I give sellers because sellers want choices, guys. Let's be transparent. They don't know who to trust. So we have an as-is option, a traditional sale option, and a renovate now, pay at settlement option. And I found that this as-is speed and convenience option is one that people like really respond to. And they've come with their letters. And interestingly enough, the last 2 houses that we purchased, both of them were absentee owners. One was probate, and one was a neighbor that lived in the neighborhood, but also owned a rental in that neighborhood. And they just were tired of owning that property. So very, very important, right? We'll send you that simple letter. So hopefully that's helpful. Now, here's the number 1 mistake people make on this. What do you guys think it is? What's the mistake? I just gave you a simple battle plan. Target a market. That's it. Gregory Owens has it. Inconsistency. It is why everybody fails. They are not consistent with a system. This is a simple, Mark says quitting too soon. This is a simple system that absolutely 100% works. And it's so stupid easy that people don't believe it is. Yep. Letters, please. Yeah. They don't believe it's this easy. And so they stop and they try something that's more complicated. Super simple, right? Who in here has ever heard of driving for dollars? I'm sure everybody has, right? Driving for dollars is another, in that zone market, is another super simple way to build a list and then mail that list. And yet nobody, I was telling my intern about that today. Yeah, Angela, like that is such a great intern job to give, right? Like you hire kids over the summer and their job is to drive neighborhoods and you give them $1 for every house that they find that's run down. They've got to take a picture of the exterior and they need to put it into a Google spreadsheet. And you're going to get like hundreds of properties where the grass is overgrown and there's weeds in the gutters. And then you're going to mail that list. You'll call that list, you'll scrub that list against batch leads, and then you'll mail that list, right? That to me is such a simple system. But again, nobody commits because they expect immediate results and it's going to take 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 months. But I promise you, if you stick with it, you're going to get a deal and you're going to make 30, 40, 50, 100, $150,000 because you stuck with it. Okay, let me open it up to questions. Anybody have questions? Yeah, Misha said wholesalers too. Yeah, I mean, this is how wholesalers find their deals, guys. They understand this concept. Anybody have questions on how to find a deal from a marketing
Can,
perspective?
can I answer Misha's question?
Sure. What was it?
So she said, ask or they are asking, wouldn't the property managers just take the best or good deals for themselves? Most PMs I know are also investors and do this. By the time they cost someone else, the margins are too slim. So we do take some of the deals for ourselves, but I can't buy all of them. So what we do is we have a pool of investors that are known to us. We are first going to take any deals to the investors that are going to let us manage the properties. They get first pick, right? And then we would take it out to the rest of the investors if we can't find somebody in that first group. So unless the property managers you're working with have got way more time,
Deep
energy, and
pockets,
working
super deep.
capital than I do. And mine are deep, but they're not that deep. I can't buy them all. There's a lot of them, but I can't buy all of them.
Well, also, Angela, I would imagine there's certain things that you absolutely want, and there's other things that you don't want. But another investor would
Right.
love that product, right? Like,
Right.
like I want things in Reston, but I don't want things in Gainesville, right? I was like, it's too far. I don't want it, right?
Yeah.
So this is why it's really important for everybody to really define their buy box. What's the best way you'd recommend to find property manager? Angela, I'll let you answer that question. Go for it.
I'm sorry. I feel like I took over.
I know this is
So,
great.
well, I mean, if you're in Williamsburg, but so there's a organization called NARPM. It's the National Association of Residential Property Managers, and I would highly recommend looking on their database to find somebody who is a part of NARPM, because those folks that are part of that group, they pay to be part of that group, and they go to um, the all the different meetings, and there's monthly, quarterly, then big national conferences, and they have education in what they're doing rather than just being somebody who's thinks that they're a property manager. Because a good property manager, if you're really good at what you're doing education on it several times a year. Like we're getting ready to do it right now in Virginia again because the laws changed July 1st, and there's a lot of changes, and we have to stay aboard with that. Otherwise, if we're representing you, we go to court, we don't have the right piece of paper in there, and the whole thing gets tossed out of court. So, but NARPM, National Association of Residential Property Managers.
Yeah, it's a great way to do it. Right. I would say also go to your local real estate investment clubs and just ask people, hey, who do you recommend? Who do you know? And when you start hearing the same place over and over again, that's how you start narrowing down your list a little bit. You could also go to Google and just find the ones with the reviews and look at them, right? Um,
Chat
and
GPT.
ChatGPT, right? Yeah. By the way, if you own a business in here, you should be, blogs are back. Okay. Why are blogs back? Because a lot of the language learning models are reading all the content that's out there and then bringing that forward as as a way of identification for property managers, agents. So we started getting very niche in our language on our site, in our blogs, about how we're investor friendly agents. Like we want to help real estate investors build wealth through real estate. And so I want to communicate that in my blog over and over and over again. If you focus on probates like Dave on my team does, I helped him create a blog that's called Probate Property Pro, right? I love alliteration. Probate Property Pro. And in there, all Dave does is talk about probates. That's it, because that's his niche. And he focuses primarily on talking to attorneys who refer him probate listings. I mean, he's done this B2B, right? And he's got a podcast called Probate Property Pro and a blog that's called Probate Property Pro and a YouTube channel that's called Probate Property Pro. So where do you think Like when people are start Googling, like who can help with my, or they go to ChatGPT, who can help with my inherited property? Hopefully one day Dave will start ranking for that. Right? Yeah, everything old is new again. That's right. Everything old is new. So I'm going to encourage everybody on here. The point of today's call was niche down on the type of asset you want to buy, in the area that you want to buy it, and even sometimes like on the type of person you want to find the deals from. So you could create an entire campaign just around finding deals from property managers, or an entire campaign around finding deals specifically through other agents, or an entire campaign around wholesalers, or an entire campaign around uh, uh, divorce attorneys. That's today's message, guys. Go small to go big. And with that, I will let everybody go. Go find your next deal. Now you don't have any excuse not to find more deals, right? Go find your deals.